All right, fellas. Today we are again talking body game, but today we're talking how to build an aesthetic physique. The reason I'm bringing this up, last time I made this video, I probably had way less followers, like at least 5,000 less. So I wanted to remake this video, but there's a lot of issues that have been coming up. Right? There was this one dude, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I really need help. I really need help. Like I'm willing to lock in and do what you tell me to do." As soon as I told him what to do, the basic shit, he was like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna stick to my rep ranges." He was on some goofy ass fucking Pilates ass rep ranges, like steroid like rep ranges, 40 reps, 30 reps, 20 reps, just dumbass rep ranges. The rep ranges that are literally the best for hypertrophy and strength are gonna be 6 to fucking 15. All this TikTok shit saying lift for 3 reps, those same people that are saying that, all you have to do is scroll back to their videos not 2 years ago, not 3 years ago, last year, and they're saying what they've always said. And you can scroll through all their videos. Right? There's a lot of creators that for the past 5, 6 years, they've just been, on the regular shit. Like, yeah, 16 or 15 reps is the best, blah, 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 nothing new. And then, they started seeing it's more popular to kind of say, like, oh, wow, do 3 reps and 4 reps on a machine. Not even compound movements, do 3 to 4 reps. Like, that's powerlifting rep range. That is not hypertrophy. And yeah, that is just not the best for hypertrophy. If you're trying to build aesthetic physique, like the Brad Pitt physique, you just want aesthetics, right? You just want some muscle mass. You want to be in the hypertrophy rep range. You don't want to be doing powerlifting shit. All right, you guys see powerlifters. You guys think powerlifters look good? Usually not. Now, I know you guys are gonna say Russell Orhe, but he power body builds. After he does his powerlifting movement, guess what he does? He does accessory movements. That's why he looks how he looks, right? And if you want to move the most weight, just eat a fuckload of goofy ass food. That's why powerlifters have big ass stomachs, all right? And a lot of you guys will say shit like, "Yo, I'm on body game, I'm on body game, but I just got a big stomach," or "I'm on body game, I'm on body game, but I'm 25% body fat." That's not fucking body game, bro. Like, what the hell are you talking about? The bare minimum for body game is being lean and having some muscle mass. Brad Pitt physique. Let's say that again, all right? That's one of the most like those are one of the most aesthetic physiques, the Ziz, the Jeff Saeed, that kind of stuff. Not fucking Ronnie Coleman and shit like that, all right? Or just being like super bulky at 40% body fat and shit like that. That's not like the aesthetic physique that people are going for. And I wanted to remake this video because I remember um I was I was always going for a certain look where it's like I got some muscle mass, but I can still fit into like a button down shirt and look lean. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna look bulky like a bodybuilder or anything like traps overtaking and shit like that, right? That was always my goal. And I remember, yeah, Hamza made like a video on this or whatever. And I remember watching it a couple of years ago, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I do actually. I didn't know it was called, I didn't know it was called an aesthetic physique, right? I was like, I didn't know this what it was called. But yeah, that's what everybody desires. And the weird thing is that although people know that's what they desire, the way they approach it is very emotional and stupid. Like I said, I've had some people come to me and they're like, "Yeah, man, I'm willing to do what it takes." And the reason they look like shit is because they're not willing to do what it takes. They literally don't do the rep ranges. They're not consistent. They don't pay attention to nutrition, and they wonder why they look like shit. All right, simple. All right, so I know a lot of you guys are probably wondering, like, what exactly is aesthetic physique? I kind of just explained it. It's not the Ronnie Coleman physique or the Jay Cutler and shit like that, right? They can't fit into button downs. It's literally the David JB Fit and the Alex Eubank. This is like the top tier right this. Natural Alex Eubank. Not Alex Eubank now. He's a little bit too much trap and rear delt dominant due to androgen receptors since he's on test. But natural Alex was definitely way more aesthetic, in my opinion. Obviously he has more muscle now, but he was way more aesthetic and balanced when he was natural, right? It all looked way better, in my opinion. All right, but these are all the aesthetic people, good shoulder to waist ratio, shit like that. All right, so the thing is, do not be in the comment section saying, "Yeah, I'm definitely aesthetic. I'm definitely on body game. I'm just 30%." No, you're not. You're not on body game. You're the average person, bro. If you're 30%, 25%, you're just the average person that goes to the gym sometimes, or you go to the gym consistently. You eat like shit. You are not on body game. Stop saying that shit. All right. When you're on body game, here's what's gonna happen when you're on body game. Because I hate when people say stupid shit. Like people say too much stupid shit because they're chronically online. All right. They're chronically online and they don't experience anything in real fucking life. All right. They've never experienced anything in real life. When you're on body game, like I said in my other video, the conversation is always about, oh wow, look at your physique or some shit like that. And then the chick, like if you go out with a chick, she'll be getting jealous because everyone else will be staring at you. That shit happens to me every single time, right? Like I go out with a chick and then all the other chicks start talking, start talking about me or whatever. And then the chick that I'm with gets jealous. That's when you're on body game, all right? Or when you walk. Literally, I'm just talking about shit that literally happened yesterday, day before, and the past fucking 6 years. Anyways, you're walking down the street and you're in your shirt, you just have a pretty decent pump. You're not walking around shirtless. You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of you guys think like when I say body game, it means walk around shirtless and like flex the whole fucking time. That's not what it is, dude. Like women can see your physique in your clothes. It's really not that deep. It's pretty easy to see. If you're a personal trainer, you can see someone's physique in their clothes. And some people be like, "No, I look good at 280." It's like in your own mind you do, but I can see you're fat as shit. you don't look good at 280. No one's looking good at 280. You're not Aaron Donald, and he's like 260. But you're not looking good at 280, the 290, the 300. People say that shit too much. Listen, if your friends telling you look good at that weight, you don't. Those are not your friends. All right, you shouldn't be convincing other people they look good at 30% body fat. You just don't, and you're unhealthy. That's like Lizzo behavior. That's like body inclusivity. That's just dumb shit. All right, but yeah, when you walk around, like when you want that physique, because I've been on both sides. I've been, like I said, I've been overweight, but I've also been super skinny, and like people just like they just instead of just ignoring you, right? Which you're gonna get ignored, but they also give you the disrespectful look. Like they're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like do something about yourself. All right, simple shit. So like, if you're on Bodygame, you're gonna walk places. People are gonna ask you questions. All right, it is what it is. They're gonna ask you questions all the fucking time. People are gonna be staring at you all the fucking time. And I'm not talking about like just looking at you because you passed. I'm talking about like literally yesterday, walking back from the gym. I promise to God, a chick literally, bro, literally looked me up and down like 3 times. Like, what the fuck am I looking at? You know what I'm saying? Because the shoulder waist ratio is crazy. It just is what it is. All right. And I'm not saying this shit to be like, oh, I'm that dude. I'm just telling you what happens when you actually, stay consistent. It is what it is. And the reason people react like that is because nobody stays consistent in the first place. All right. So these are the epitome of aesthetic physiques. Pretty much this is a physique everyone wants. Look at the shoulders. Look at the waist ratio. Perfect shoulder waist ratio. Simple. All right. Now, like I said earlier, when you're training for aesthetics, you're not training for powerlifting. All right. A lot of you guys are really confused with this funny ass new TikTok shit. This new TikTok shit is very funny to me, bro. It's very funny to me because the only people giving everyone advice, they're all on steroids, bro. So it's like whatever they say is gonna work. If listen, if you're on steroids, bro, I don't care what anybody says because I've seen people hop on steroids and do some crazy ass rep ranges. You can pretty much like it's literally boosting your test unnaturally. So you're gonna get better results doing less. I know some people, right, who like, they're low key on steroids. Only a small circle of people know that they're on roids. You probably seen them on social media doing influencing and shit. You're like, yeah, that dude definitely lifts. He lifts one fucking time a month. His physique will always be way better than mine. It's not even fucking close. It's not even close. I'm not comparing my physique to his because it's not even close. His physique is like at least 5 times better than mine. He works out once or twice a month, maybe. And that's just the power of like the fucking cycle and shit like that. I know some people say, no, you still gotta work hard with steroids. You have to eat decent and this and that, but that shit changes your fucking, that shit changes you on a hormonal level, bro. That's why people take this shit. If it didn't work, you know what I'm saying? If it didn't make a difference, then people wouldn't take it. So it does make a difference. We're not gonna be like, oh my God, like you still have to work hard. I mean, obviously you got to put in some work. But I've seen a lot of people not put in that much work and take it and be like hyper responders, but also they just don't eat like absolute shit. I've also seen people, who take it at like 19 years old and they look, worse than natural 19-year-olds, and it's not even close. So I've seen that as well. All right, but they do make a game changer. Like if someone's lifting like 3 times, well, like if you're on roids, you can recover faster. So if someone's hitting chest like 3 times a week and legs 3 times a week, they're recovering because the dose they're taking or some shit. You know what I mean? All right. One more thing that I want to talk about, obviously, when you're training for aesthetics, is going to be mind muscle connection. And by the way, 6 to 15 rep range, like I said earlier, is where you're going to want to be for aesthetics. Yeah, very, very simple. But mind muscle connection is going to be pretty important. It improves over time as you continually lift over time. All right. Smith machine and machine presses and shit like that are some of the best machines for mind muscle connection. Smith machine on deadlift is great for hamstrings and glutes. So is the Romanian deadlift with dumbbells. Those are very good for isolation for hamstrings and glutes. Pause. And then the Smith machine for shoulder press and inclined Smith for upper chest are some of the best movements as well because they isolate it over and over and over again. I remember when I first started lifting, I was doing football lifts. I was doing power clean. I was doing, I could power clean more than people who look bigger than me. I could bench more than people who look bigger than me. I squatted more than people who look bigger than me. I deadlifted way more than people who look bigger than me. So what was the issue? My fucking volume, bro. My volume and my exercise selection. All right. My volume and exercise selection wasn't there. You got to fucking have a lot of volume, bro, when you're trying to be aesthetic, especially as a natural. Well, a lot of volume is subjective. I don't think it's a lot of volume, but if you're someone who's new, then you might be like, oh wow, that's not a lot of volume, but you're still gonna work up to it. All right. And you got to realize that because I've worked with some people or, on the initial call, we're like, yeah, this is gonna be your volume. Show them workout, they're like, oh, I can't do this volume. I'm like, get the fuck out of the program, bro. Pussy ass shit. Get the fuck out of the program, bro. Because like the volume is very, very low compared to, like football practice. All right. Football practice is like 3 hours of absolutely quote unquote overtraining. And then you work out afterwards sometimes. And then you have a game on the weekend. Is that not overtraining? You see what I'm saying? Your body is adaptable. All right. And you need some kind of volume. You need volume if you're trying to build muscle. It is what it is. All right. It's not that complicated. Now, when you correct your form and you focus on mind muscle connection, you'll start feeling the right muscles in certain movements. And we're gonna go right into that next. Pre-exhaustion. This is like the basis to mind muscle connection. All right, like the easiest way to get mind muscle connection is pre-exhaustion. All right, so for example, yesterday I did legs. I was doing quads and I was doing some hammies and glutes. So before I hit the squats, I did some hip abductions and some hamstring curls. So by the time I got to the squats, I was feeling mostly hammies and glutes. Still gonna feel some quads. Then I did some Smith machine deadlifts, and I felt mostly hamstrings and glutes. Right now, guess what's sore? Hamstrings and glutes. Pause. Um, but yeah, that's exactly what pre-exhaustion does. It really helps you isolate and feel the right muscle, right? And when you have that mind muscle connection and you're feeling the right muscle, you're contracting it right. You're gonna definitely feel the growth as well. All right, so like for chest, instead of starting off on the flat bench, like raw dogging the flat bench, where you'd feel your elbow and your rotator cuff and shit, unless you have great genetics, that'll build. This could build some people's upper chest if you have great genetics, but not for me. I have to do like incline Smith after pre-exhausting it by doing cable flies or pec deck. So, like I said, before I do incline Smith, I'll do cable flies or pec deck just to pre-exhaust my chest so I can actually feel my upper chest, where I get a good, get good contractions and put stress on the upper chest, put increased stress on the upper chest. So when I'm progressively overloading, I'm just not progressively overloading my fucking elbows and rotator cuffs. I'm progressively overloading my upper chest. One more thing. An aesthetic physique takes time. So when I say it takes time, the interesting thing is like a little bit of muscle and a low percent body fat is pretty decent. Like 1 year of muscle growth and low body fat, you're gonna look crazy. Anybody go look at, bro, prime Alex Eubank was like still building muscle, bro. He was like, what was he, 2 years in consistently? I think he did like 4 years overall, but he had like 2 years of real lifting, like consistently. And then he got super lean, and people were like, he's so aesthetic. Because it's really about, like I said, aesthetic is about that shoulder to waist ratio. You know what I'm saying? And being lean at the same time. Like and having a little bit of muscle, right? When I say lean, you can, like lean doesn't only refer to body fat, it refers to, like that's basically what jacked is as well. It's like having a lot of muscle mass and low body fat, right? But if you spent a year in the gym, right, you're gonna have a lot more muscle. Like I said, go look at fucking Google, go look at bodybuilding.com. You're gonna gain 20 to 25 pounds of muscle your first year of lifting if you main gain or eat in a lean bulk while eating high protein and you stay consistent. It's gonna happen. That's a lot of fucking muscle. You're literally gonna look completely different. It's not even close. All right. So if you do 2 years overall, it'll be 20-ish pounds the first year, 10 to 12-ish pounds the second year. If you do 3 years, you're gonna gain a total of like anywhere between 30 and 40, and that's gonna change your entire physique. And then you get lean and you just look super aesthetic. Like that's how it's gonna work. All right. Literally, that's how it works. So yeah, it's gonna take time to build all that muscle over time. But there's another subset of people, or the bigger subset of people who've been lifting in the gym for 10 years. They have a lot of muscle mass and they just eat too much and they stay fat as shit. And they're like, yeah, I can't put down. Oh, I just love to eat and drink beer. And it's just goofy shit, bro. It's just dumb as fuck. Right. All right. Like I said, in your lifetime, a lot of people build like 35 to 45. But if you're consistent for like 10 plus years, you're gonna fucking build like 60. Right now, the first 3 years, really, you're gonna gain the most. You're gonna gain the most, right? Main gaining and lean bulking is going to be essential, like I said, because you don't want to put on a bunch of fat. And if you're skinny specifically, and you've never like lifted a weight before, that means for the next 3 years, you can literally just fucking lean bulk slash main gain, and just lift and get stronger and stronger and stronger. You're just gonna be packing on muscle like fucking crazy, bro. For the next 3 years, you're gonna be packing on hella muscle. People are gonna think you're on steroids type shit. All right, steps and reps. Like I said, the training to failure shit. Let me tell you something about training to failure. All right, every set is relatively within a couple of reps of failure. All right. For example, if you're doing the three sets of 10, right? If you're doing 3 sets of 10, you're not picking a weight that you could do 80 reps with and doing it for 10 reps. You're not picking a weight you can do 20 reps with and doing it for 10 reps. You're picking a weight you can do for around 12 reps, maybe 15, right? And you're getting a good contraction. If you're doing like an isolation movement, it might be a little bit lighter. But if you're doing like a compound movement, it's going to be something you could do for, if it's 3 sets of like 8 on bench or some shit like that on incline bench. You're gonna pick a weight that you can do for 1 set of 8. You're not sure if you can do it for 3 sets of 8. You see what I'm saying? So you'll get 2 sets of 8, and then that third set you'll get 7 or 8. If you get 8 consistently, then you can up the weight next time. All right, that's how you progressively overload, right? Or you can shorten the rest periods, but that's a whole different type of progressive overload. But the easiest way is just to add weight over time. All right, and here's the thing: if you don't track, like if you're a beginner, you're not tracking your lifts, which I recommend you track your lifts. But if you're not, you're still gonna go up in weight because shit's just gonna get lighter from you being consistent. So like that progressive, like when people say progressive overload, it's like anyone who just acts and takes action is gonna progressively overload subconsciously because the weight just fucking gets lighter when you're consistent. It's that easy. Like the era of overcomplicating shit is getting ridiculous. All this overcomplicating shit is it's not that deep. Oh my, people are like, damn, when should I add weight? When should I add weight? When the shit gets too fucking light, bro. Which happens if you're consistent. When you're consistent, you answer all your questions. But most people, they've been benching, you know, they've been incline benching like 135 for the past 5 years because they're on for 2 weeks, off for two weeks. You see what I'm saying? They're inconsistent and their nutrition's ass. Simple. Like I said, 6 to 15 rep ranges are good. Straight sets are pretty solid too. Drop sets, and actually, if you actually train a failure, bro, and you don't take roids, you're an idiot, bro. You're gonna crash your CNS. All right, if you train to actual failure like 5 days a week, your CNS is cooked. It's just fucking cooked. All right, unless you're on roids or some shit. All right, and like I said, you guys don't understand the significant amount of people that are on roids on steroids. I mean, on roids on like TikTok and shit. And you guys just like look at them. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna take his advice, bro. That dude is recovering faster than everybody else because he's taking the Captain America shit, bro. He's taking the roids, man. Come on, man. All right. So for those of you guys who are bulked, which is like I said, it's the majority of you guys have like a lot of muscle mass under it. Do you think this looks aesthetic? No, I look fat as shit, bro. I look fat as shit. Right? Look at all this fat. Now you maintain. You guys don't realize that there's a fuckload of muscle under this, and then when I cut down, you guys are like, "Oh my god, like, wow, like, dude, you gained muscle." It's like, nope, didn't gain muscle. Literally just lost fat while maintaining muscle. That's what aesthetic is. It's not about just weight loss. You guys are trying to go for aesthetics and you guys are focused on weight loss. Like, I want to lose 50 pounds. It's like, you should be focused on losing 25 pounds of fat while maintaining your muscle. That's what'll make you aesthetic. Or maybe you should lose 40 pounds of fat while maintaining muscle. That'll make you aesthetic. But you guys lose weight as fast as possible, losing muscle in the process, removing any aesthetic potential that you had, right? Because if you lose muscle, I mean, you're losing aesthetics off rip, duh. Like if you lose 50 pounds and you lost some chest muscle, you lost some back muscle, some shoulder muscle, you're just gonna look skinny. All right, that's not what you want. You're gonna look skinny fat. You already know how to find a calorie deficit, but in reality, bro, like you can type it into one of these calculators, but in reality, like it's really all about your mindset regarding nutrition. This is why I always say that because you can give someone a number, right? It's just you can give someone any number and you can say this is the perfect number. They're just not going to execute it because their mindset regarding nutrition is that when they eat healthy, they're punishing themselves, right? Or they're like, if I overate, let me work it off on the gym. That's most people's mindset regarding nutrition. So it doesn't matter what fucking number you give them if that's their mindset. So the mindset's more important. You got to realize that this is for longevity, right? And that you feel better when you eat better, and it's what your body needs. And you got to be willing to give yourself time to adjust to the new way of eating, all right? Once you adjust to the new way of eating, your taste buds are going to change, your energy levels are going to change, your mental clarity is going to change. But guess what? Most people don't get to that point. Why? Because they don't have the patience, all right? And that's all I'm saying. Have the patience, man. Have the patience and look at nutrition as a long term thing, and it'll be easier for you to, stay in a deficit. Because there's people that are like, oh my god, I hate that I have to lose 40 pounds. Your fat ass ate like shit to gain the 40 pounds. So shut up, bro. Like this shit's dumb as hell. It's literally the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like someone complaining about the weight that they gained. I was going to sleep and eating what I needed to eat, right? Someone else was out there going to sleep eating what they need to eat. You were the one eating Ben and Jerry's at 1 a.m. and now you're mad that you gained the weight. You fucking did it to yourself. All right, so take accountability and lose the fat. It's literally I cannot believe there's real grown human beings that say shit like, yo, I have to lose 30 pounds. It's not fair. My genetics are bad. No, you just eat too fucking much. Calm down, bro. All right. Obviously, the best exercise for lower body. Back squats are pretty good, but like the squat machines are pretty good for isolating the quads too. I like back squats for abs. All right, like I always say for core, it works your core like crazy. Like I don't know about y'all, but I did back squats yesterday and my core is sore. All right, core is sore. All right, leg extensions for quads, obviously hack squats. You got reverse split lunges or Smith machine lunges. Front lunges, all that shit. Hamstrings, slow dumbbell deadlifts, Smith machine deadlifts, variations of deadlifts. There's even deadlift machines where you like they have like handles. The shit's fucking insane. All right, calf races, obviously, donkey calf races as well, and then obviously the best for upper body. So the main parts of your upper body that you want is gonna be upper chest, which is usually smaller on most people, but some people have blessed upper chest, like my older brother. So upper chest, shoulders, and then you want your waist to be smaller because that's when the abs come out. Abs don't come out of nowhere, guys. All right, abs don't come out of nowhere. Abs literally are underneath. All right, so once you get lean enough, you'll see those. You'll see those shit. And by the way, the dude, this is a whole different tangent. But the dudes that be in the comments saying like, "Oh my God, your pictures are AI. This is that." I believe you guys, bro. Because when I walk outside, bro, I feel like I look like AI because people be looking at me fucking crazy, bro. Swear to God, bro. Especially when I get that pump. Like it's like, okay, there's other people in the gym, you don't have to look at me. You see what I'm saying? So I must look like AI or some shit. You know what I mean? But back to that. Like a lot of the let me address the haters real quick. A lot of the haters that be saying, oh, AI steroids and shit like that, those are the same people. If I scroll back and I look through their comment thing, they'll say something about like, yeah, man, dating's not fair anymore. It sucks out here. It's like they are so out of shape that they lack confidence to have a profile picture, which means that obviously on their dating app, they probably don't have a profile picture of themselves. And if they do, it's probably like them with their cat or some shit like that because they're ashamed of themselves. They don't want to look at the fucking selves. All right. That shit's fucking weird to me. Like you don't have a profile picture, but you're commenting. That's why you guys obviously you're gonna you're gonna suck at dating apps, but you guys comment like, oh my god, I'm struggling with dating apps. You don't have a profile picture because you don't have enough confidence in yourself and you don't take pictures of yourself. So how the fuck are you gonna be on a dating app, bro? And then you can go in person, but if you obviously lack confidence to put a profile picture, that means you're so cooked that even in person you're cooked. So it's like it is what it is. But I see that shit a lot. I see that shit a lot with the weird comments, specifically on TikTok too. TikTok be crazy with that shit, niggas. But but I actually listen. If I'm on TikTok live and you say some shit like yo like you're on steroids, you suck. I go to your page and I see that you're a 19-year-old out of shape cook dude. All right, and I just call you out, and then they flag me or they block me or some shit. Anyways, the best split is going to be one that you can stick to. If you're hitting compound movements, if you're volume, if you're a beginner, if you're hitting if you're hitting each muscle like 10 to 20 sets a week. I would say closer to like 16 when you first start, and your nutrition is ass too, and you're skinny, and you're like 15 years old or some shit. You just start, 15 sets is 16 sets is that range for each muscle is okay, but 20 sets is really more realistic. All right, for like regular volume. All right, I know some people are like, yo, like Mike Mentor said. I don't care what Mike Mentor said. He's on steroids, bro. Why the fuck do you guys listen, dude? People don't realize if you combine low volume and okay eating, like eating good 70% of the time with steroids, you're getting better results than everybody on earth because you're including steroids and probably at the right dosages and shit. If you're going through a doctor, these Mike Mentor motherfuckers are going through doctors and shit. All right, you guys cannot you guys cannot copy their fucking methods. All right, you just can't. You can take some of it, but you shouldn't be copying it verbatim because their recovery is gonna be different from yours. So if they go to failure, you're gonna be like, dang, I feel like shit. What's going on? I went to failure. Are you juicing? You're not. Okay, so you're not gonna get the same results they do. All right, but you can do push pull legs. You can do upper lower. Which they're basic like upper lower and push pull legs. They're very very similar, right? Because some people do upper lower, and then they do upper lower calisthenics, or some people do upper lower, and then they do upper lower cardio, which works kind of like a push pull legs and then a push legs cardio. You know what I mean? You can do a lot of variations of that as long as you're hitting, each muscle group about 20 sets as a beginner, 16 to 20 sets as like a beginner intermediate, and then me and my homeboys be doing like 40 fucking sets, bro. We're all naturals and we need high volume, so we do like 40 sets. Chris Jones does high volume too. I can't remember what he does. I think he does higher than that. But like if you're a natural, bro, and you're experienced, you're doing higher volume than that for sure. All right, one more thing, and this I should have put this first because this pretty much disqualifies everybody. This slide right here is the worst slide of all time. It disqualifies everybody. All right, consistency, right? And before you ask like, what's the secret? What's the secret of consistency? Just fucking do the work, bro. Like if you're not where you want to be, that means you're consistently doing the wrong shit. So you are consistent, just in the wrong direction. So it's really not that deep. Like people are like, how you can be consistent? I'm looking at you and you're consistent. You're just consistent in the wrong direction because that's your standards and that's your identity. You identify as a fat version of yourself, as the loser version of yourself, as not the best version of yourself, and your standards are low. That's why you're acting like that. It's not that deep. All right, you guys overcomplicated. Like, if I could just be motivated. And someone said that, bro. I blocked this motherfucker, bro. Because first of all, I usually only respond to DMs if it's like some dudes that say, "Yo, you inspired me," or some shit like that. I'm like, okay, appreciate you. That's cool. Or if it's some chick who just has a nice fatty, and I'm like, you know what, that looks pretty good. You know what I mean? And they DM me first, right? That's the only time I answer a DM. I'm not answering like if I see a DM that said this dude's in his DM, he was like, "Yo, if I had the energy like you, I would be lean." Block that motherfucker. You dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Energy, bro. Zero correlation between energy and being lean, bro. Zero correlation. Like, what are you talking about, bro? Showing up to the gym has nothing to do with energy. Eating what you need to has nothing to do with energy. Everybody who makes excuses like if I had the time like you do, all right, listen. If you have less time than I do, how the fuck are you fat as shit? That means you spend more time eating than I do. I always say this shit, but it is if you guys need to sit back and think about this shit. People who say they lack time, and they might actually be busy. How the fuck do they spend so much time eating? That's insane. Like how are you downing so many calories? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Excuses. All right. Consistency obviously goes with patience. Set realistic goals, man. Y'all need to realize that you're not like you guys look at TikTok transformations, and first of all, 80% of them are gear, right? But you guys look at a lot of them and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be like his end, and his end is like 10 years in, and you're like 10 hours in. You know what I'm saying? Then when you're 10 months in and you don't have 10 years worth of results, you quit, but you're going at a good pace. So pace yourself and really pay attention to your own progress and focus on progressing, versus your past self, not somebody else. All right, you guys do that shit too much, trying to progress against somebody else who has not the same genetics as you do. They might be 5'5" or some shit like that, so they look fucking super swole. You might be 6'3", so you're more you're more like lanky and shit like that. But you're comparing yourself to someone who's 5'5". All right, and the unfortunate, like I said, this is why most people are just not going to build an aesthetic physique. So lack of structure is one. Like I said, most people they like to do their kind of inconsistent workout. Like if you go to the gym, most people don't have any structure. They're just walking around basically, like I always call it, they're just beating their meat, bro. That's what I call it, because they're just walking around not doing anything productive. They'll see someone do rear delts and they're like, yeah, that guy has rear delts, good rear delts. They'll do that, and they'll see some guy with some good quads doing leg extensions, so they'll do leg extensions. Then they'll see some dude with abs doing some calisthenics, so they'll do a little bit of calisthenics. So they're at least try. So their workout was leg extensions, rear delt flies, and attempting to do pull-ups, but they're too fat. That's a person's workout. Then they feel guilty, so they go on a stairmaster so they can burn through muscle. Dumbest shit ever. All right, simple shit. And then inconsistency, of course. People they have shiny object syndrome, and they do one thing one week and something else the next week. All right, I see that a lot. I see most people are never gonna make it because they do 2 weeks and like, I'm locked in. I have the best formula. I'm locked in. I don't care what your formula is. Are you gonna be consistent with it? Right? Niggas ran P90X twice. Right? 3 months and 3 months. Niggas ran P90X for 6 months and got good results because they were consistent. All right, 6 months of consistency. Most people ain't doing that shit. Because then you have people who have the perfect formula, they have the perfect, diet, the perfect macro ratio, and the perfect workout, and they do 2 weeks, and they're like, "No, I have to change it up." They change the entire thing. And they do 2 weeks, and they get discouraged because they're impatient, and it's only been 4 weeks. You see what I'm saying? So another reason you got to be consistent patient is because once you actually build muscle, and if you have a lot of fat, I know a lot of you guys have a lot of fat. Chipping away at fat is a long-term fucking process. You are losing 0.5% to 1% daily. I mean, not daily, like weekly or bi-weekly, or sometimes if you get super lean, even monthly. Like you're losing a little bit of percent body fat, but you gained it. You gained it slower, so it's really it's not that bad. Like if you're 40%, then you'll be losing more than that. You might be losing 4 to 6% the first month, second month, shit like that. If you're like 20%, you might lose like 5% in like 6 to 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks, right? But you're still losing. That's still progress. You just got to be patient. And then the excuses and shit, the funny excuses, lack of time and like, I don't have the funds, funniest shit ever. If you don't have the funds, you should be lean. You should be super lean with the ribs showing. I need just listen. If you don't have the funds, send me a DM, right? And you should have your ribs showing, all right? Your BMI should be super low. You should be like, if you're 5'10", and you say you don't have like the funds to eat right, why aren't you 130? You should be 130 or 120 as a grown man at 5'10" if you don't have the funds. All right. Yet the people who are like, no, I don't have money to eat healthy, they're 310 fucking pounds. You're clearly eating more than healthy people, which is how you got fat as fuck. Simple. Victim mindset, everyone has that shit. All right. So back like I said earlier with the tracking progress, you want to focus mostly on body fat percentage. So I recommend that you take your body fat percentage, do InBody or DEXA in the beginning, and then kind of monitor that every 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere in that range. You know what I mean? If you have like access to an InBody and you're already close to your goal, then you can do it closer to 4 to 6 weeks. Like if you're like 13% trying to get to 10 and you're pretty close, then you can do it like every 4 to 6 weeks. But if you're like 30%, you have a long process ahead of you, I don't want you doing it every 4 weeks because you'll just be obsessed with the results instead of the actual fucking process. And then of course your waist size is a good indicator that you're losing fat. Yeah, weight is cool, but it's relative to both body fat and waist size, because I've seen plenty of times people gain weight in their first couple of months and lose body fat because they gain muscle and lost fat. And I've seen people lose weight and they're like, oh man, I dropped 15 pounds. But guess what? They lost muscle and they gained body fat, which is crazy. That happens all the time. Simple shit. All right. Now, a few other things to note. Get, between 6 to 9 hours of sleep and shit like that. And here's the thing. Most people who say, man, I can't sleep, I don't got time. Most people who say that shit, they just they don't discipline their time, right? That's why discipline is so important. They don't discipline their time. They don't allocate a sleep schedule. Like, okay, I'm gonna be in bed by this because I want to get to sleep by this. They just kind of fuck around on their phones, on TikTok or on the TV, and they're like, let me wind down, and they spend too much time winding down, and they fuck up their sleep schedule. All right, so take your sleep schedule seriously because that sets up your next day. Gallon of water a day. Like, this is bare minimum. That's easy. That's not really negotiable. It's just fucking easy, bro. People actually, anyone who tries to argue this, holy shit, dude, you're cooked. Like, people actually try to say like, hey man, can I just do half a gallon? And like, it's just like the concept, that concept of not doing a gallon and trying to do half a gallon is the mindset of trying to take shortcuts, and you're just gonna be cooked all around because you're gonna be like, hey man, I know you said like I should be lifting 5 days a week. Can I do 2 days? Hey man, I know I should be eating good for 7 days. Can I do 3 days? That's that mindset, and that's what most people have. They have that pussy ass mindset, bro, and it goes in all aspects of life. So I know you guys might be like, no, it's okay, I can have half a gallon. That's a mindset, bro. That's a mindset. That shortcut mindset. All right, yeah. Protein powders. Honestly, there's like 30,000. Like, they're all good. Like, they're all good these days. The competition's high as shit. All right, they're all good. So not only these, not just iso pure diamondized rise, optimal nutrition. There's like 1,000 more, bro. There's so many good protein powders. It's insane. Supplements to raise your test. You could do ashwagandha, triple terrestris. You could do uhimbi. And then of course pre-workout has caffeine, and so does coffee. You can do that if you want. If you want to flush out excess water, you can do some dandelion root. It's going to mimic at certain doses HCTZ. So if you get super high in doses, it might mimic a little bit of furosemide, but I don't think it's that strong. But it's pretty close to HCTZ though. Like, if you do a high enough dose, which you're not going to do because this is ridiculous. All right. One more thing I'm gonna say: training for aesthetics doesn't prioritize just strength or just a bunch of fucking mass. So that powerlifting shit is just that's not what you're doing when you're doing this. Now, if you want to powerlift, this video is not for you, which is cool. But yeah, I mean, if you want to powerlift, we could talk about that. You see what I'm saying? Because usually when I go to the gym and I do like I do some bench or some shit like that or deadlift, people think I'm a powerlifter or some shit like that. I'm not a powerlifter, but I'm just consistent, so I'm pretty strong. You know what I mean? But yeah, 15% body fat is lean. And people are gonna be like, dang, especially if you have a lot of muscle, they'll be like, dang, bro, you look pretty good, man. Good shit, man. You must work out every day. And then you get to like 9 to 11, people are like, yeah, man. So like, I've knew you for a while, bro, and I never thought you were the type to hop on, bro. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, man, but like, I lost a lot of respect for you. That's what people are gonna say. They're not even gonna ask you if you're on, bro. They're just gonna assume you're on. And you're like, dude, I'm not on. They're like, yeah, man, I wouldn't tell anyone either. I'm like, dude, no, I'm seriously on. And people are gonna start hating on you and shit. And that's when you get like a lot of the looks is like between the fucking, honestly, 7 to 12, 7 to 12, depending on like how much muscle mass you have and shit. But yeah, that range, bro. Like, when you go from 12 to 11, 11 to 10, 10 to 9, it's like, yo, you look fucking crazy all the time, bro. You look cut up all the time. All right, huge difference between 25 to 10, 25 to 15. Right, it's just crazy. All right. Now, if you're locked in and ready to go, which most people fucking just aren't, but if you're locked in and ready to go, you're sick of looking down, not being able to see your Johnson, you're sick of not being on Bodygame and shit like that. Like, you go, you go out, you know what I'm saying? You don't get any attention, obviously, but like, no, you don't inspire anybody, including yourself, and you're tired of just sitting down and being like, damn, bro, I said I was gonna do it last year. Damn, I said I was gonna do it in 2010. Damn, I said I was gonna do it in 2020 in the same spot. Link is in the description, man. Y'all know the drill, man. Stay blessed.